Hey guys, this is Eddie. Today I want to shoot a video and kind of talk a little bit about the refrigeration cycle. Uh, I remember when I was going to all these different classes and sitting in these refrigeration classes, this was probably one of the toughest things for me to get through. I don't know why I made it so hard on myself, but I did. I guess I created a mental block against it. It was too much. I just didn't want to really listen to it. And it may have been that the instructors were talking way too. I mean, I guess they just assumed that I already knew this stuff, so they blew through it real fast, and I don't know, they just never sat down and took the time to explain it in the way that I can understand it. Now, in order for me to understand anything like this, I'm more of a visual type person, and they use these kind of diagrams here. All right, but they went so fast through it that I really never understood it. Now, I also learn really well off of analogies. So if any of you know me, I've always got some kind of analogy going on. All right, but that's just the way I work. So I guess today I want to take you on a journey inside my brain. It's a scary place sometimes, but uh, let's see what we can come up with here. When we're looking at a refrigeration cycle, really what we need to be concerned about is the pressures and the temperatures. So when you hook up your gauges, that's kind of giving you a bird's eye view of what's going on. If we think about pressure and temperature in an air conditioner and we compare that to our blood pressure, I think we can understand this a little bit better. So let me explain. We're going to go deep here, guys. I'm sorry, but let's try this. When we look at the evaporator coil, all right, let's think about this as our home. This is where we live. All right. Compressors, they do all the work. All right, so this will be our job. This is where we go to work at. The line sets, this is the road that we travel. All right, so that's just kind of mapping out our life here. So when we hook up our gauges, all right, what we're seeing is, like I said earlier, it's a bird's eye view. Your blue gauge is giving you the information here at home, the evaporator coil, and your red gauges are telling you what this coil here is doing. Alright, we know with the refrigerant we have high pressure and we have low pressure. Now just like our blood pressure, we have high pressure and we have low pressure. When our pressure gets high, we get hot. We get like steaming, we're yelling, spitting, cussing, doing all kinds of stuff. When we have low pressure, we're cool and we're chill. Alright, I think the easiest spot to start this is at the end of our day when we get off work and we just pulled it home. So the TXV valve is going to be the door into the house. Alright, so we get home, pull in the driveway, see the door, we walk in, and if you're anything like me, when I walk into my house, it's like an instant relief. I would say a fresh breath of air, but that may sound a little weird. But when I walk in the door, just like most of the stress kind of goes away. And you're still kind of mad. You're still kind of not really mad, but just aggravated throughout because you just had a long day of work. All right, so you eat your dinner, you take a shower, and you start to chill out. Then right before bedtime, you're starting to chill. You're pretty good. You hit the bed and like go to sleep. You really start chilling out. All right, this is my my pressures. This is my blood pressure is real low right now. All right. Um, when you're talking, you're not spitting or anything. You're just having a casual conversation. You get up in the morning, hang with your family, whatever. Get in the car, turn on your radio. You're driving to work now. You're just singing your songs, whatever you do going to work. Who knows? But it's all cool. You're not upset at all. All right, and you get to work over here. All right. Now, if you work like normal people, you work 8 hours a day. So you're in here, you're doing a little 8 hour gig. If you're like me, you work 12, 14 hours a day, whatever. All right, you do your job. End of the day comes around. Now you're kind of stressed out because you just worked all day. But you know, you're not really in the mood to take no crap, and you're still. You might get on the phone, somebody might aggravate you, but you know, you may be a little stressed out, but you're cool. You can still talk. No big deal. You're going home. Work was stupid today. All right. Now we're getting on the expressway. This is a condenser coil here. Now we're still kind of like a high blood pressure, but we're still kind of playing it cool. So we're still breathing air, vapor. We're not doing anything crazy right now. Now you start seeing some cars stopped in front of you. All right, you reach them. It's at a dead stop now. Now you start getting mad. Your blood pressure goes up higher. All right, now we have bodily fluids coming out of our mouth. We're screaming, we're yelling at each other. You all have been here. All right, you're just so mad right now you can't even talk. You got so much fluid coming out of your mouth. You're spitting. You come up here beside the wreck. You're yelling out your window, "Hey, jerk! Learn how to drive." Whatever you're screaming. But the main thing is you're so mad right now. You're spitting out fluid. So now we have fluid refrigerant. Okay, so this is liquid right now. You got liquid coming out of your mouth. All right. You're mad. You're high pressure. Your blood pressure is high. I mean, but you pull in your driveway. You see your door. It's like, oh my God, just got to get in the house. All right, go in through your door. You got that relief. You're still mad, so you're still spitting a little bit. Telling your wife, fix me some dinner, whatever the case may be. All right, but you start chilling throughout the day again, and you repeat that process. Go to bed. You wake up. You're cool. You're not spitting no more. So you're not spitting. You're breathing just vapor, I guess you would say. So this is your vapor side. This is a gas. All right, so you're chill. You go to work. You're stressed out, but you're still not spitting. You're not so mad you're spitting. So you still got high blood pressure, but you're chill. You hit that condenser coil. This is where all that traffic starts. You hit that traffic. Now you got high blood pressure. You still got high blood pressure, but now it's a little higher. You're freaking spitting now. Spitting liquid. So you go from a vapor to a liquid. Alright, so now for this analogy to work though, every day you gotta get up, you gotta go to work, you're gonna have to get stressed out. Alright, and you're gonna have to see a wreck. You gotta see a wreck every day. You gotta see something that's gonna make you spit every day. Alright, and you gotta chill. So if you went to work and you never saw a wreck and you just stayed that chill all the way back, we never convert to liquid spitting. Alright, so we're just staying a gas all the way back to here. You've got a problem. Okay. Or vice versa. If when you get home and you can't chill out and you stay spitting liquid all night long, you're just so mad that you're just spitting and you're doing it all the way back to work again, you might need some Xanax or something. I don't know. There's something wrong. You have to do this every day in order for an air conditioner to work. So it's like waking up every day and you live in the same life over and over. That's what an air conditioner does. Alright, so if you look at how refrigerant changes states throughout the cycle, that's the best way I can explain it. Now, as far as temperatures go, you have a high pressure liquid. It's a hot liquid refrigerant going into your TXV or your piston. Alright, now when it goes through the piston, it switches it from a low pressure liquid, and that's going to become really cold. Alright, so when it hits that coil, and we're going to be just a few degrees above freezing. So what it's going to do, the evaporator coil is basically like a big heat sink. Alright, so this cold refrigerant is going to go in there. It's going to make this bottom part of this coil really cold. And as it travels through there, we've got a fan that's blowing. Now this fan's going to have hot air. And that hot air blowing on this cold coil, this refrigerant is going to grab that heat. So as it starts going through this coil, it's going to get heated up. Alright, and once it gets heated up to a certain point, that liquid's going to start changing to a vapor. Alright, and it's still going to try to grab up as much heat as it can. Alright, and once it grabs up all the heat that it can grab, then it's going to go back to the compressor. The compressor is going to do its job. I mean, basically it compresses that low pressure gas into a high pressure gas. Now, when it does it to a high pressure gas, now it's going to get really hot. Alright, so the refrigerant coming out of here is going to be really, really hot. So the line from the bottom of your compressor to your coil, don't touch that line. It's hot. Now, when it goes through this circuit, you got another fan. The air outside is going to be cooler than this refrigerant. Alright, so as this hot gas starts going through this heat sink, we've got this cooler air blowing across it, and it's going to remove some of that heat. Alright, and again, just like it did over here, once you reach a certain point, it's going to go from a gas to a liquid. Alright, that's going to become evident if you put your hand on top of the unit and you feel all that heat coming out. That's the actual heat energy that you're picking up here. So all that heat coming out the top of your air conditioner, that's heat coming out of your house. Alright, but then that liquid just goes right back to the TXV and it just does the circuit all over again. It just keeps doing the same thing. Alright, so from the point of where this refrigerant, it's real cold, goes into the coil, to where it comes out of the coil here, we'll say normally this is going to be 35 degrees cooler than it is in the house. So if it's 70 degrees in your house, it's going to be 45 degrees or 35 degrees. Alright, and when it comes out, it's going to be a much warmer temperature. That temperature difference right there, that's superheat. That's how much this refrigerant had heated up. That's how much heat energy it was able to absorb. Alright, that's your superheat. That's all superheat is. Alright, it's the amount of heat that refrigerant was able to absorb. In a nutshell, that's what it is. Alright. Over here, it's the same concept, it's just opposite. Alright, you got a really hot gas now. You know, normally it's going to be somewhere around 20 to 25 degrees hotter than it is outside. This one really depends on the efficiency of your air conditioner. It's not quite like it is in here. It's a little harder to come up with a fixed number because it could be 15 degrees hotter than it is outside, or it could be 25 degrees hotter than it is outside. It really just depends on the efficiency. Alright, so we'll just say you've got a 10 SEER air conditioner. You're probably going to be about, we'll just go 20 degrees hotter. So if it's 80 degrees, this line coming out here is going to be about 100 degrees. Alright. The amount that this refrigerant cools off, I mean, it's really going to depend on how much air we've got blowing through the coils and how clean the coil is. Alright, but if it's super clean and you got a good airflow, alright, it's the amount of heat we can remove. We're going to cool it. Alright, so that becomes subcooled. When you cool refrigerant, at a certain point, it's going to go from a vapor to a liquid. Alright, and basically that's what subcooling is. So over here on the evaporator coil, we're heating the refrigerant because we've got hot air blowing through a cold coil. We're trying to get the heat out of the house. So we're taking that hot air and blowing it through a cold coil. As long as we know what the temperatures are, alright, we can tell how well the system is working. Alright, I've used the subtract 35 degrees from your return air. And you want to measure your return right at the furnace. But you measure your return air grill, return air right at the furnace, and you subtract 35 degrees. That's usually spot on. Alright, and this is your door to your coil box here. If you just take your temperature right here, you strap on your little thermometer and you take your temperature right here, and you just subtract them two, that's your superheat. You don't need to go to your outside unit and hook up gauges to see what superheat is. That pressure right there, if everything's working right, is going to be the same as if that pressure is right here at the unit. You don't need to hook up your gauges. Alright, when I'm doing my preventive maintenances, I'm inside of the coil. I have to get my temperature right here. Guys, I don't hook up my gauges. I don't need to. Alright, as long as everything's working right. Superheat, like I said, is just it's a temperature difference between the in and the outlet. And it's the same thing outside. Now, the only thing I can really suggest with you on the outside is I kept track of different efficiency rated air conditioners. I don't have that list with me. It's out in the van right now. But it gives me a pretty general idea. If it's a 10 SEER, how much I should add to the outdoor unit. I know, like on a 10 SEER, I believe it's 20 degrees. If it's like a 17 SEER, you're only adding like 14, 15 degrees. Some of the 8 SEER units, you could add 25 degrees. So when it gets, the lower the efficient, the more temperature you got to add. The higher the efficient, the least temperature you have to add. So this one's a little bit tougher than this one. But as long as you know about what it should be, most units that work on a 10 SEER, I'm just going to add 20 and I'm good. So 80 degrees, I'm adding, so it's 100 degrees right here. Then I come down here where the line sets are coming out, and I take that temperature. Most times it's going to be right around 10, 15 degrees cooler. So 100, 80, 85 degrees or so. coming out, and that's your subcooling. You really don't need to hook up no gauges for that either. But this one's a little trickier. So if you're going to a TXV valve and you have to measure super or subcooling, you might want to go ahead and hook up your gauges for that. After you've kept notes on several of them, you could get to the point where you really don't need to hook up your gauges. You'll get it down pretty good. The problem with hooking up gauges is every time you screw it onto that service valve, you take chances for a leak right there. Alright, so we want to eliminate the possibility of leaks. Alright, and if you measure your temperature right here, and you've got a temperature pressure chart, PT chart, you know what the pressure is anyway. So you measure your temperature and you get out your pressure temperature chart for whatever refrigerant you're working on. I mean, why do you need gauges? I mean, I don't know. Not when you're doing check and cleans. You don't need them. All right, so I know this is kind of a different video, but like I said, that's the way my brain works. So when I was trying to learn this several years ago, and that was the analogy in a roundabout way that I came up with to make me understand it. I sat and looked at a picture like this, and I just tried to. I just had to try to figure it out, and that's what I come up with. So it probably confused more than half of you, but maybe it made sense to a few of you. And as long as I make one or two people aware of what's going on, that's really my goal anyway. Just get one or two people per video, I'm happy. Alright, so if you didn't pick up anything on this, I'm sorry. If your head hurts, I'm really sorry. Alright, but if you understood the eddy talk, rock on with it, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys.